All right, something I have been pondering on. The two-party system, is it good for us? Is it benefiting us? Welcome back to the Green Eyed Girl podcast, Political Hellscape.
Let's go!
All right, so our two-party system in the US. We've got our big RNC and DNC conventions and all of these things, and we all know there's a Republican Party locally, etc. Is it to our benefit? Because the more I'm thinking on it and the more I'm looking at it, I think it's not. Because it's not actually us who decides who the candidates are going to be. It's the party at large. And we just watched this in probably the most blatant way this past election cycle. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been a lifelong Democrat. He started his whole campaign to run against Joe Biden. But the DNC wouldn't even let him on the Democratic ticket. They wouldn't even allow him to be an option for the voters. That should seem crazy to everyone. That a lifelong Democrat decided to run, had backing, had every qualification to do it, but the Democratic Party just said, nope. And I don't think this is a Democratic Party issue. I actually think that this is an issue across the board. I think behind the scenes, a whole bunch of people get booted before we even have any idea who they are because the party decided. That started striking me as odd. I'm not a fan of not actually knowing what my options are. Kind of like the more you find out about the grocery store, the more you realize that it's actually like two main companies that own. But you think you have a choice. Okay. So what makes me really start gears turning on this issue is I'm in rural community, a lot of farmers, mostly farmers in my area. But the candidates that always get put forth for office are lawyers. Why would we have a lawyer represent a farming community? Shouldn't we have a farmer? Wouldn't that make more sense? Someone who's actually representative of the area? But again, this goes right back to my episode on the government hating you. The parties aren't actually giving us the option of who's going to represent you. They're telling you, here's the two elites you get to choose from. Does that not strike anybody as odd? I just want to get people thinking about this because I think the more we think about it, the more we talk about it, the more likely we are to start kicking out these people who really can't represent you because they don't even fall in your demographics. It makes zero sense to have some highbrow lawyer go represent a farming community. Because the lawyer would have no idea what plights the farmers are facing. They pretend they do. They play a really good game. But again, their entire job is to go into a courtroom and lie. Their entire job is to go into a courtroom and convince people of something that may or may not have happened. So why are the parties deciding? Oh, there's all kinds of behind the scenes things that happen. You know, we watch this, and at this point, I think we just think it's normal. But I'm a big history person, and I've deep dived into more American history than anything else because, well, I live here. And then I start watching all of these things unfold, and everybody's just like, "Oh yeah, that's normal." It's really not normal for a Democratic candidate to not get to compete as a Democrat, to have to go third party. Very bizarre. The man's a Kennedy, for heaven's sake. That doesn't make any sense to me. So start asking yourself, we might need to start getting more involved in local, state, etc. I think local and state's the first things we need to tackle anyway, but start looking at it. If the person they're putting up for your representative doesn't match the demographics of your area, i.e., if you're a whole group of school teachers, but they want a lawyer to go represent your interest, does a lawyer share your plight, or would it be better to choose someone who's been a school teacher for 20 years? And they don't have to go make a career in politics. There's no such thing as a career in politics. Anyone who has a career in politics is a scumbag who's been leeching off of you and never actually worked a decent job. They don't need to go make it a career in politics. But it would be good for your community to send someone who's representative of your community to go serve for 2 or 4 years. Don't choose the lawyer. Oh, they're a lawyer. They just know more than we do. No, they think they're better than you. They think they know more than you do. And it's not true. They're not representing your interest. Pick someone who can actually represent your interest. If you're all a bunch of farmers, choose a guy who actually operates his farm. Whether he's a farmer by trade or just someone who actually knows what you all go through on a daily basis. He might own a business somewhere else, but be operating a farm. And he's called you all for help 1,000 times to help him figure out how to operate his farm, and he's learned from you. Don't let your party choose which of the elites you have to choose between. It's how we keep ending up in the position of choosing the lesser of two evils. We need to start holding a line and start choosing the people who best represent our interests. All the way down to the local level, all the way up to the federal. The parties need to be held accountable, and we need to start paying closer attention, and we need to start auditing and figuring out who's running and why. And if there were people who were trying to run who got ousted because a party didn't want to. Because the way it ends up looking to me is that if the party's willing to put you forward, it's because you're representing a party's interest rather than the people's. That's a massive problem. Comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm crazy. I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, like a little bit. But that's just something that's been rattling around. It's been bothering me. Think on it for a little bit. Comment. Let me know. I'm really curious. Have a good day.